90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today, our guest is Christina Versailles, and she is the Senior Attorney and Settlement Conference Coordinator with the Mortgage Foreclosure Assistance Project of the Nassau County Bar Association. Christina, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Hello, thanks for having me.
In the next few minutes, Christina is going to give us information about what to do, or perhaps of importance to someone you know who may be facing a mortgage crisis and possibly facing foreclosure. Christina, how big is the problem in Nassau County and Long Island in terms of mortgage foreclosure in 2024?
It is pretty severe, and Long Island has about 25% of all filings, and New York City itself also has about 23% before the pandemic, and the numbers are increasing.
And what are some of the reasons why the numbers are going up?
The factors is, as you know, there was a mortgage crisis, and then after that, there was COVID. And now we have higher taxes. We also have natural disasters that continue to increase the number of distressed homeowners. And there are also economic issues such as interest increase and inflation. So that's affecting a lot of homeowners.
And if people lose their jobs, it may inhibit their ability to pay their mortgage.
Yes, and that was one of the big things with COVID, when the person who paid the mortgage lost their job or they passed away and they didn't have any means to pay.
Now, if someone is doing okay now, but they think there's going to be a problem in the immediate or sometime in the future, what are some things they should do or not do?
They should definitely try to put some money away, save some money that they can put aside for, kind of like a rainy day fund. And they should also speak with a HOP agency, which is Homeowners Protection Program. It's about 88 of us out there, and there are housing counselors that assist specifically people who are behind on their mortgages. And it's it's 89 nonprofit housing counseling and legal services organizations. So it's run by the New York State Attorney General's office.
You yourself are involved with the Mortgage Foreclosure Assistance Project of the Nassau County Bar Association. How can your agency help people who are worried about facing foreclosure, or maybe foreclosure has started and they're trying to stay in their house?
Well, we provide retention counseling, so the counseling on foreclosure process and the timelines, also preserving savings to avoid scams. We also help represent them in mandatory foreclosure settlement conferences for mortgage and for tax lien foreclosures. And at these conferences, that's when you are able to do some kind of negotiation, such as a loan modification or reinstatement or repayment plan, forbearance, and things of the like. And we also help you to assist you to avoid abusive and scams that may be out there.
So the consumers and homeowners have to be very careful about some agency or that says they're going to help someone, or maybe asking them to sign over the title or sign their rights away or something along those lines.
Yes. Unfortunately, foreclosure is public record. So you don't know who has access or who knows what is going on in your case. A lot of times they tell you, hey, let us buy the deed from you or buy X, Y, and Z and don't worry about it. But as far as the bank's concerned, you're still on the hook for the debt itself. And that's where a lot of the scams lie, when someone tells you, I can help you get out of foreclosure, let me buy the deed.
In other words, they might almost be stealing the house from you. You're not going to have a place to live, and you might be giving away the value of your house for nothing or for a small piece of change.
Well, what it does is it inhibits you now from participating in negotiations, because now you only owe the debt, but you don't own actually the
The property.
The equity, yeah.
So it's the worst of both worlds. You'll be stuck with the debt and you lose your interest in the property.
Yes, your possessory rights to the property. That is it.
So you want to have a house and you still have economic problems.
Yes. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
And if people get those calls before they sign or do anything, they should call an agency like yours that's going to help them evaluate their options, and it's not looking to scam them.
Yes, actually, when there is a foreclosure process, you are given a list of housing counselors that you receive with the documents. So you should definitely go through that list. If not, you can always check the Attorney General's website as well as HOP website as well. And there's a hotline, which I can give you later on.
And again, you or someone from your department is present. And if Nassau County, there's a certain section of the courthouse where the cases are heard, where there are conferences, and you usually there's someone from your organization there, and you'll have a table set up to try to be a resource to anyone facing foreclosure?
Yes, due to 3408, a settlement conference is required, and therefore we have attorneys that are there. Typically, conferences take place from Monday to Thursday, and we have attorneys from our office as well as volunteers and interns to assist us all in the process. So, and there's also other housing counselors as well. At the time, if you do not have any representation, Nassau County Bar will represent you for the day. If you need ongoing representation, we will refer you to one of our, I would say, other HOP organizations for ongoing basis.
But at least you can keep them from making a mistake. You can help them protect their property and reserve their rights. Yes,
because a lot of homeowners, this is the first time they've been inside a courtroom or a courthouse or anything that has to do with litigation. So we're here to kind of level the playing field, to give them an opportunity to be represented.
And the first thing they have to do is show up. If they don't show up, they may jeopardize their position, and either in advance or when they show up, they should reach out to you for help.
Yes. What happens to a lot of homeowners, they get scared and they don't show up. That's one of the worst things you can do. You should show up and you should respond, because we are here to help. The court does want to help as well. They want to give you the resources that you need, but we won't know if you don't show up. And also you want to be able to reserve your rights by filing an answer.
And you may have a stronger negotiating position. You might be able to work out arrangements for them so they can stay in the house. Maybe it's only a temporary problem they're experiencing, and you're going to, and maybe you can just kick the can down the road so they can stay on the property and go back to paying the mortgage off at some point.
Well, we also have to be realistic. If someone is employed and have the finances, the means, it's just that they were behind, then we can see what we can do, because it's really about the numbers. Like I stated before, there are other options like reinstatement, repayment plan, forbearance, and modification. However, if you're unemployed or you have no means of paying going forward, then that can be an issue that we would have to address at that time to see how to best handle the situation.
But whatever it is, you're going to advocate for them. You're going to help them figure out their best options.
Yes, because that may be a short sale or it might be a reverse mortgage, depending on, who the home borrower is and the facts that presented at that time.
So many people, it's an unfortunate situation, but many people have options. I mean, is it possible they could even sell it to a relative so they could stay in the house?
Well, that gets a little tricky. If you have equity in your house, you're free to sell to whomever you want. If you don't have equity in your house and your house is underwater, you have to do something called a short sale if you'd want to sell. And that's where it has to be an arm's length transaction. So that gets a little bit more tricky.
And just for our audience, let's just define these terms. So if you have equity, let's say a house is worth $100,000 and your mortgage is $80,000, you have $20,000 in equity.
Yes.
And if the mortgage was $110,000 or $100,000, or let's say it's $110,000 because of interest and penalties, you're underwater, where your debt is more than the value of the house.
Yes. Yes.
And in most of the situations that you're brought in to help, what is the situation? Or it can be any of the above.
It could be any of the above. It's because no case is exactly the same. For example, you could have someone who's in foreclosure, but the only person who owns the debt is one of the spouses. So the other spouse's debt does not have any debt, and then they can actually go take out a loan themselves and, pay off the loan.
This would be both people are on the deed, or just one person is on the deed?
Well, there's 3 instruments. There's the mortgage, there is the note, and there is the deed. The debt is determined by the note. The mortgage is what says your collateral is the house to promise to pay. And the deed is the interest in the property, basically, that you have an interest in the property.
So if someone, maybe there's a friend or relative who can help you out, become a part or joint owner of the property with you, and help make the payments or help bring the mortgage up to date?
It doesn't necessarily work that easily.
Okay.
The people who can change the terms are only the people who are on the note itself. You can have assistance as in when you're modifying, if let's say you have a rental, someone who rents part of the house too, or if you have contributors like you have where you live with other people like your mother, your sister, your brother, they can be contributors. So that way you have more financial resources in order to modify with.
So if they're not in there, it's one resolution might be they move in with you and they contribute to the expenses every month?
You would have to provide and show proof that they live with you. There's certainly, if family members are willing to give you money to assist you to pay the bank to catch up, you can always do that. It's more about who can change the terms. The only person who could change the terms is who's originally obligated.
But you and the judge in the foreclosure part will try to help come up with a solution so the people can stay in the home if possible and the banks can get their money or the loan can be brought current.
Surprisingly, it's not really a judge who does the conferences, it's a referee.
Okay.
There is a judge that oversees the case, but when you do a foreclosure conference with a referee, and we basically present the facts, and it's all done based on financials and numbers, and no case is similar. Sometimes it varies because it could be heirs, it could be reverse mortgage. So it really depends on what kind of case that there is.
Just to remind our listeners, we're talking with Christina Versailles, and she's a senior attorney with the Mortgage Foreclosure Assistance Project of the Bar Association of Nassau County. And you're listening to Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York. If you want to tell someone else about this podcast or broadcast, it's available as a podcast at nccradio.org. And if you know someone who's facing the possibility of foreclosure, Christine is giving valuable information about how free help can be given through the Bar Association of Nassau County and other resources available to homeowners if they're unfortunate enough to be caught up in a mortgage foreclosure process. Christina, what else should someone know about? I assume a person will get letters and demands and other perhaps legal documents before a mortgage foreclosure conference is actually held?
Yes, usually after you miss a payment, a 30-day, you'll get a 30-day kind of letter telling you you've missed your payment. Usually foreclosure will begin once you are 90 days. You'll get a pre-foreclosure notice when you've missed 90 days worth of payments, and then foreclosure basically starts. And that's when, after you are served, thereafter there's a foreclosure conference, and if it cannot be settled then the plaintiff, which is the bank, the lender, can move on their case going forward. And
you're trying to help prevent and resolve these mortgage foreclosure processes before they carry out the full course and people are thrown out of the house and may lose whatever interest they have in the property.
Yes, unfortunately, if they cannot negotiate or they cannot come to some terms, the end is going to be an auction of the property.
Right. But you're going to try to see what resources they have, what defenses they have to try to keep them in the property if the numbers can work.
Yes, we're going to see if the numbers can work. And also it depends, like there can be affirmative litigation issues that predatory lending issues, abusive mortgage servicing. So all those things we definitely address. Like we've had some homeowners that were in there to due to no fault of themselves. There was a servicer error showing that they owe when they do not owe, and saying that their taxes were open when they were not open because they're escrow and they paid every month. So there are different situations that do take place.
And is your agency available to help people even before there's a foreclosure to try to prevent the foreclosure from occurring by straightening out these administrative errors?
Yes. My agency, we always have staff, like I said, at court. So sometimes we have walk-ins and people can talk to us at Nassau Supreme Foreclosure Court in the basement. And also my office itself at Nassau County Bar Association. We do have people who are there. And we have the hotline, as I mentioned before, from HOP, which is Homeowners Protection Program.
And sometimes there are programs of the Bar Association also to educate people who want to know more about the foreclosure process and want to realize how to prevent it or how to defend against it.
Yes, we have outreach programs, and we also have clinics that we hold where people can come in and they can sit one-on-one with an attorney, and we can review their documents and basically kind of guide them if they have any questions.
And you might bring these services to a nonprofit organization if they wanted to have a speaker or a clinic or workshop along those lines.
Yes, we do. We've actually been into some libraries to do that. We've actually held our own programs as well. And we do have some programs that are coming up as the spring, summer comes by. We should be out east for a little bit. So definitely look out for those announcements.
And just give us the contact information for your agency at the Bar Association and information that may be on the Bar Association website.
Yes, you should go to nassaubar.org. There you can find the mortgage foreclosure section. And that will tell you how to contact us, whether it's through email, whether it's to call us. And also you can find out about any events that we're having in the future as well.
Are there websites that give homeowners some of the, explains the process or tell them what resources or defense they may have?
Yes, you can look at the AG's website, which is ag.ny.gov. That tells you the process. Other website is also, you can go to the court. The court website will explain also the process, which is a Nassau County Court website, and also hwcli.com. They also have some information on foreclosure as well.
And even if someone did not do any of these things, they got the notice to come to court for the conference, they should show up, look for you or someone from your organization who'll try to help them and maybe adjourn the conference or help them figure out their best options.
Yes. The day of the court conference, we can meet with them. We can speak with them and see what is particular to the case and how we can assist them. And actually at the conference, the referee will ask you if you would like to go and be appointed for further counseling. So therefore, you will be assigned a housing counselor and an attorney.
And that will slow down or temporarily stop the process.
Well, while you're in the foreclosure process, when you are in settlement conference, all motions are held in abeyance. So basically that's saying they're not going to be decided because we are trying to negotiate and see where we're going to go with your particular case. So once you're released from foreclosure, then the case can go on.
So everything's put on hold while discussions continue.
Yes.
That's why it's important people show up and they take advantage of your help.
Yes, but that's only in the foreclosure settlement conference part.
This part only deals with people where the lawsuit's been started, the foreclosure proceedings have started?
Well, yes, that's where that part is. It's a mandatory foreclosure settlement conference that was put into act in 3408.
And if someone has a problem or they think they have a problem in an earlier stage, they should still reach out to you and you'll try to help them as best you can.
Yes.
You mentioned there are some volunteers who work as part of your team. Are those attorney volunteers, law student volunteers, paralegals? Most
of the time they are attorneys and law school students. We have pro bono scholars. And many of our volunteers they're very well experienced and versed in this. We do provide training for them. We provide training with CLEs, which can be done offsite, and as also hands-on training. So shadowing. So they're very familiar with the process.
And if an attorney wants to volunteer for the program, obviously they'll learn more about real estate. Even if they don't know all the nuances of fighting foreclosure, you'll provide training to them. How can they get in touch with you?
I would contact my office, like I said before, nassaubar.org. That's our information. You can find us there. Call my office and state that you would like to volunteer, and we would love to have everyone. And I want to remind everyone, you don't need a real estate background to do the foreclosure because it's procedural based, but real estate background does help, but it's not necessary.
And even if you work in the city, but you live out here, or you work out here, but live somewhere else, you may find it to do something to help the public right in your own backyard. Yes.
We are here. We usually have court appearances Mondays through Thursdays.
What are some other things for someone facing foreclosure to know, and what other options might work for them so they can, perhaps with the help of a relative or a friend, stay in the property?
Many are not aware of reverse mortgages. That's something that they should look into. We do, within the HOP organization, have reverse mortgage housing counselors to kind of educate those individuals to see actually if that's the best program for them. There's also reinstatements. There's also loan modifications. And as we previously stated before, there are short sales. And we always try to have some kind of retention option. So we do encourage people, the earlier you seek assistance, it's the better, and we have more options we can see.
And the reverse mortgage is more for people over a certain age, and it just stops the foreclosure process, and the money would be repaid down the road, or the bank would be able to sell the house down the road when someone's passed on or is no longer living in the house?
Well, what happens with reverse mortgage, it is for senior citizens, and it's where you tap into the home equity without selling or making payments. So instead, the borrower receives a lump sum, monthly payment, or a line of credit from the lender, or some combination of the two. And no payments are due until the last borrower sells, moves out, or dies.
So this is good if you might be an option if you don't have income to pay the mortgage and you have equity.
Yes, that might be an option. And then we also have to consider the taxes and insurance. So that's a whole nother thing we have to consider as well. See what kind of reverse mortgage possibilities that are there for an individual.
And sometimes part of that is you're borrowing against the property if you have enough equity, and that would give you the cash to pay those other expenses.
We would have to see what other expenses there are, because if you also have to be able to live in addition to paying your taxes and insurance.
And what type of loan modification might be possible?
Well, most of the loan modifications that are available, usually they capitalize their arrears, basically put everything towards the end, and sometimes they're deferred. There's a balloon payment, but it would vary. The going interest rate would be what is out there right now. Unfortunately, it's kind of high. So we always encourage people to, if you can reinstate, and if you have a low interest rate, that's probably your best bet. But as I stated, it's hard to tell what to do for any given situation until you actually look at the facts.
And again, you can help them evaluate their situation because they want to preserve a low interest rate if they have them, if they can't afford the monthly payments, if they can't afford the arrears, if they can't afford the penalties. You'll work with the numbers and see what options are available.
Yes, that's what our HOP program does. We serve the average, New York families. And like I stated before, we have about 89 that's affiliated with our program.
And as you mentioned before, it's very important they contact you or another HOP organization because you're giving them consumer-oriented advice, looking at it from their best interest, rather than signing some papers or signing the title away, which will further jeopardize them, and they may lose whatever interest they have in the property.
Yes, or sometimes there are other agencies who promise to do X, Y, and Z, and you pay them. And
this
they don't deliver.
Private companies.
Or private companies, but we don't cost the consumer anything. We are funded by the Attorney General. And actually in 2021, 2022, we served about 9,500 clients. That's actually doubled. And within 2022, 2023, we served about 20,500, and it's only increasing more.
And just to reiterate, you're giving them free objective advice that's just trying to help them out, not trying to make any money off of them.
No. We are, like I stated before, we are funded by the Attorney General. We are overseen by the Attorney General, and we are funded through the state.
Any other final tips that you want to give to someone who may be afraid of foreclosure in the future, that may be starting to get notices now, or may have gotten some kind of notice or legal papers about foreclosure?
The best thing is not to sit on it, not to wait, is to reach out to any of the organizations that I listed before. There's about 89 of us, and it's very imperative that you do not ignore, because then certain situations, what happens is you probably have less options than you had before. Because remember, every day interest accumulates, fees accumulate, and that's going to be an issue.
And also the process is going further, and you're not exercising whatever options, taking available whatever resources you might have.
Yes.
And just give us the contact information for the Mortgage Foreclosure Assistance Program at the Bar Association, Nassau County again.
You could call the hotline, which is 1-855-466-3456. Or you can try the Nassau County Bar website, which is nassaubar.org.
And if someone's outside Nassau County, you can put them in touch with the resources in their county.
Yes. And if they're outside Nassau County, the best thing is the hotline, because they will connect you to the best resources closest to you.
And just give us that number again.
That is 1-855-466-3456.
And just to reiterate, if an attorney could be retired, or maybe they want to do some pro bono work, or perhaps a law student wants to get involved, do a lot of good helping the public, level the playing field, so to speak, they can contact you and take advantage of training programs and learn how to advocate for someone facing mortgage foreclosure. So they're going to learn new legal skills and be doing good at the same time.
Yes, actually, we have many retired attorneys through our Emirates program, and we do have active attorneys who are still practicing right now, and pro bono scholars. So we have all are welcomed, and they assist in many ways.
And they don't have to have a real estate background. You'll support them and bring them up to speed.
Yes, foreclosure is more procedural, but real estate definitely helps.
And at the counseling program, when you're in court with them, you can try to resolve some issues. You can adjourn it if you need to, and continue your helping relationship with the homeowner.
Yes, we only represent for the day through Nassau County Bar, but our other programs within the hub will do ongoing continuous basis.
Okay. I'd like to thank our guest, Christina Versailles with the Mortgage Foreclosure Assistance Project, for being our guest on Law You Should Know. And if you have any questions, please contact them. Whatever you've heard is general information and not intended to be legal advice for any person or any specific situation. If you missed any part of the program or you want to tell someone else about it, just go to the website at nccradio.org, and please join us again next week at the same time for another program on Law You Should Know on 90.3, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York.